Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for the Q&A, so let's go ahead and knock this out. Alright, first question. Any chance we will ever get an intermediate version of Ice Cream Fitness? Alright guys, so you need to remember the Ice Cream Fitness was me looking at some of the really popular 5x5 templates like strong lifts that were basically trimmed down versions of some of the original ones with a different progression, like original ones going back to the 50s and 60s when 5x5s were popularized. I reincorporated it and made them more total volume with additional accessory movements, kind of like the original 5x5s, and updated to a more modern style of progression. That's what I did, right? But you need to keep in mind, I honestly think that's too many exercises even for an intermediate. I think it's too much. I've even trimmed it down a bit myself with modifications. So I would say, I already have intermediate templates out there, but if you want a full body like that, rather than wait on me to write something, you guys could follow what I was doing during my cut recently, right? What just happened during that 13-week block between DEXA scans where I did a 15-pound cut and held on to all of my muscle as an advanced lifter? That's actually relatively rare. That's relatively rare to hold on to all your lean mass in a cut for more advanced lifters. People who've researched this understand that already. Someone could run something like what I did. In other words, you could look at what I did through my training there and what I discussed in my actual training videos and get ideas on how to just set up your own intermediate template based off of what I was doing during that 3 months, right? And you could run a 3-month system easily based on my actual cutting program that I was doing for a more advanced lifter, right? And progress at your own pace as an intermediate, like basically make weekly increases as you're able, which is usually what you want to do as an intermediate. So that's what I would recommend for now. I mean, it'd be the same principle as Ice Cream Fitness rewritten for an intermediate at that point. All right, next question. Opinion on reverse pyramid training full body style. I'm not a big fan of reverse pyramid training. And it's not that it's necessarily bad. I'm not saying you can't make really, really good gains doing it. It's just that when you reverse pyramid, you only have two choices. If you take short breaks, which is what a lot of guys do, they do them as drop sets. We've got good data showing that the weight reduction and workload reduction causes less hypertrophy, right? Causes less hypertrophy. When you take longer breaks, which would be ideal, you start to run into the problems that we run into with mixed rep ranges. I'm not a big fan of frequently doing mixed rep ranges in the same training sessions. There's a reason concurrent periodization, block periodization, and all those things works. Right, there's a reason this stuff works. It's tried and true. It's understood. It allows for oftentimes more total training frequency and workload. When you start mixing rep ranges in the same workouts, it will absolutely reduce the frequency at which you can produce similar workloads. You might end up getting shorted on your total recovery and being able to replicate your performance. It's not ideal for people who are trying to maximize frequency and volume while still recovering from it. And that's the problem. Is that a big deal for the recreational lifter? Probably not, because most recreational lifters aren't going to be pushing that bleeding edge anyways. So for someone who's not chasing maximum gains or maximum performance, it probably isn't a big deal, but you are handicapping yourself for no real advantage in terms of your ability to program it when you start reverse pyramiding. And that's my only concern with it. That's why I'm not fond of it. I'm not saying it can't work, not saying it doesn't work, not saying you can't make 90 to 95% of your possible gains doing it, but you won't make 100% of your possible gains doing it for the reasons I just broke down. All right, next question. What music do you listen to? I listen to a lot of styles of music. I think people would be shocked. My music taste is really eclectic. I listen to everything from 70s rock to 80s metal, 90s grunge. I like a lot of modern covers. I like postmodern jukebox. I like their stuff. I actually like classical. I like old blues. But my mainstays tend to be metal and hard rock, like classic rock. And I really actually like a lot of 80s metal. I'm not going to lie. I love a lot of 80s metal. But I also try to listen for new stuff that's out there. And there have been pop things that I like, as far as even like people would think of as pop music from even my era. I actually like Christina Aguilera. I like Pink. I like all of them. Even though, again, I'll say probably 70% of my music listening time is going to be metal, though. I love metal. I love like older Slayer and Metallica and Megadeth and all that stuff. I love Motorhead. Big Motorhead fan. Big Danzig fan. So those are some of my favorite bands right there. But I do like to occasionally pick up newer, more modern stuff too if it's good. Like I started listening recently to a singer called Kay Flay. I actually kind of like her stuff. She's got some good songs. And I don't normally like the more trendy stuff that wins awards and everything. But actually I kind of like her music. It's pretty good. Just one I started listening to in the last couple of weeks recently. If people wanted me to just name something newer. Yeah. I dig mostly classic rock and 80s metal for the most part. But I try to listen to a little bit of everything. I do listen to a little bit of everything from those to, again, like old blues like Johnny Lee Hooker and B.B. King, to even a little bit of older hip hop. You know, it just all varies. I try to vary my music taste, man. I mix it up a lot. All right, next question. My squat and overhead press have been lagging on the novice program. Everything else is going up, but my squat is going fine until I hit 225 for 5. But ever since then, it has not gone up, and nothing I can do seems to increase that amount. And it's been 2 months since I hit that number for 5 reps. All right, brother. Number 1, are you taking long enough rest between sets? Time it. If you're not able to hit the numbers, you need to add an extra minute or two. Yes, that might mean adding 5 to 10 minutes to your workout to get your squats done. That's what you may have to do to get all of your sets. Number 2, are you sleeping at least 8 hours every night? Do you have your lifestyle, your stress levels, your rest recovery managed? If the answer is no, you shouldn't be running Ice Cream Fitness 5x5 anyways. I've made it repeatedly clear this program is only for people with a perfect lifestyle. Therefore, it is not for 80% of people lifting. Is your rest and recovery on point? Do you manage a low-stress lifestyle? The answer is no. I have a linear hypertrophy program for novices for people who don't have a perfect life, or you can run the cutting version of the program. But if you're running my standard novice program and you can't ensure 8 hours of sleep, you can't ensure maintaining low stress levels, things like that, wrong program for you, brother. Are you eating enough? Are you eating enough? Are you getting probably at least 0.7 grams of protein per pound body weight? So in other words, if you weigh 200 pounds, I want to see 150, 160 grams of protein or so, maybe more. Are you getting enough calories? Are you gaining weight slowly? If you're not bulking, why are you running a maximum hypertrophy program? You need to be running a recomp program if you're not gaining weight every single month. Those are the 3 things you need to check and get in order, and then go back and reassess those and figure out what's going on. There's one of those 3 things that for 95% of people is what's going to cause stalls on one of the big lifts on this program, right? And you may need to go to micro loading and be using micro plates instead of 5s. It's just something a lot of people also have to do in addition to checking those things out. All right, next question. Hey, Jason, what's the thought about electromagnetic stimulation for potentiation before a PR? Does it spike the frequency at the best level for recruit the maximum fibers? No. I think this is nonsense. All right, this is always a case of people trying to come up with new things instead of simply realizing working harder, programming correctly, picking the right workloads, everything else. Do you know why you do warm-up sets? I want you to think about that. Is it to keep you from getting hurt? No. Warm-up sets don't reduce injury rates. They really don't. I don't believe they do. Why do you warm up then? For muscle fiber recruitment potentiation. That's it. We do warm-up sets to prime our nervous system to work towards lifting a heavier load and maximizing muscle fiber recruitment and getting in our groove, getting in our motor pattern, which again is all about muscle fiber recruitment, right? What do you think motor pattern learning is? Recruiting muscle fibers in the right ratios and order for that movement pattern and to maximize force. All right, that's what you're warming up for. We do warm-up sets for that purpose. Why do you think you don't just walk in and hit a 1 rep max cold? For that reason, you're stronger if you warm up first. That's what you're doing. Pick your loads accordingly. Pick your training accordingly. And as far as hitting a true PR, Are we talking about a training PR, or are you talking about a competition PR? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you're talking about gym PRs that you're going to work into your regular training week, you damn well don't want to maximize recruitment. You're not trying to hit your best possible all-out, highly psychological aroused competition PR. That will interfere with your recovery. It'll interfere with your strength gains. It'll interfere with your adaptation. That should be saved for competition, right? The difference between a training max and a competition max. You don't want to be psyched up for that. And if you had a device that was able to psych you up, which is what you're trying to do with this, you're trying to get more muscle fiber recruitment. I don't think that's a good idea in training. So even if it did work, that's something we should be looking at in terms of competition. Right? Should be looking at it in terms of competition. But you know what? I still don't think it's going to help there. I think music, mindset, stems, getting your adrenaline up, all that stuff, that's how you handle it in competition. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 2.